Dividend investors, bonjour, this is Mike Héroux, founder of Dividend Stocks and passionate investor. You were many to ask me questions about latest news on Alimentation Couche-Tard that happened this week. So let's make a quick recap. It's Friday morning. As you can see, I'm not showing you my screen right there because there's a lot of light. The sun is rising here and I cannot make like a huge video, but I want to bring you down the fact, clearing out the noise, because the stock lost about 10% of its value on the news, which is kind of sounds like it's a catastrophic moment while it is a good news. So let's dig into what happened, why it happened, and why I think it's good news. So let's start with the fact. Alimentation Couche-Tard wants to buy Carrefour, which is the largest employer in France, a huge grocery stores that not only have stores in France, but also in other countries like Brazil, Italy, and Spain, if I remember correctly. Basically, the offer is all in cash, $20 billion. This would make it the largest acquisition for Alimentation Couche-Tard ever, and it rose a lot of doubts around the market. First, because when you look at Alimentation Couche-Tard balance sheet, they have roughly 15 billion in long-term debt. So you could assume that if you're willing to drop 20 billion Canadian money, obviously 20 billion on the table, it will likely double its long-term debt. Market is also worried that Couche-Tard will have to issue new shares. So basically it's one or the other or a combination. But you know what? Now we're getting ahead of ourselves. Nothing is happening right now, my friend. The thing is, even the French Minister of Finance said something like, "Bah, je crois qu'on ne voudrait pas perdre notre fleuron." All right, sorry for my French people. Just wanted to make a joke here. More seriously, the French government is not super excited about losing its largest employer in France in the end of foreign hands. However, we have a close connection between Quebec and France. Obviously, not too long ago, one of their big company, Alstom, actually bought part of Bombardier. So we hear that both governments are in discussion, trying to find a way that it would make it happen. But right now, we're just speculating out of thin air. So this is why I'm not going to look into Carrefour's statement. You know what? Last year, Couche-Tard tried to buy Caltex, which is a convenience store chain in Australia, not once but twice. Didn't happen. They tried to buy Speedway, which went into a bidding war, which 7-Eleven won, and they decided to not outbid them and lose the bet. So basically right now, spending too much time on this acquisition deal is just wasting your time, is just a lot of noise because nothing is happening. If it were to happen, the market is still worried because Alimentation Couche-Tard is going outside its core competencies. There's a difference by running convenience stores where you can select only high margin and high demand products and make a lot of money on them, where when you run a grocery stores, you have to manage fresh products, you have to have a lot of products that you have no margin on it just to make sure that consumers keep going into your stores. So it's definitely not, and the space, obviously, it's a lot larger. So it's definitely not what Couche-Tard is used to do. However, I see it as a great diversification because right now a lot of people are worried that convenience stores with gas sales going down will not be thriving in the future. To address that, I already did that in my previous video, so you can watch it in the link description below. Basically, they already have their own lab in Norway. Norway is pretty much the world capital for EV, so electric vehicles. They're doing well there, so I'm not worried too much about this part. But yet, the market is worried about the debt level, and it's worried about going outside of core competency. Now, if you go back to the basic, what is Couche-Tard? Couche-Tard is a unique process of acquiring convenience stores and businesses, integrating them into their own business model, making them more profitable and thriving. They have done that over and over and over again. And I don't believe that management would go in that adventure like Indiana Jones, trying to make something up just because they're feeling that their business is falling apart. It is definitely not the case. Go back to my previous video, you'll see that debt is under control, that profits are actually growing, and the company intends to double their profit in the next few years. So that's not a lot. That's a lot to say about how management runs the business. I also love the fact that management is not in a hurry to make an acquisition. They decided to not go ahead with Caltex, they decided to not go ahead with Speedway, and if the purchase of Carrefour at the end doesn't make any sense, well, they're not going to do it. So I would trust management over financial analysts on this one. And keep in mind, if you look back in history, in most cases, when there's a huge acquisition, the company that is buying is usually taking a huge hit in the first place. I would like you to remind about Broadcom, ticker AVGO. Broadcom is a tech company. They announced that they will buy CA Tech for several billions of dollars in 2018. What happened to the share price on that day? It lost 20%. It went from $240 to $200. And if you look at the ticker today, well, 3 years later, the stock is trading now close to $450. So short-term fluctuation, once again, is just noise. I'm not worried about Alimentation Couche-Tard right now. I actually like the fact that they're out there trying to make acquisition to make the business better. And once the deal is agreed upon, then I'm going to look into Carrefour. I'm going to look into their business model and see if I like the trade or not. In the meantime, I'm happy with my shares. I actually bought a little bit more on the dip. I bought more last week as well at 42 bucks. That wasn't the best timing ever, but you know what? 10% up or 10% down over the next 3 months is not going to change my life. What I'm looking at is how Couche-Tard will do in the next 10, 15, 20 years. And that, my friend, I am sure of that. I'm keeping my position. It will be thriving. It will be a lot better than today. So I hope that you enjoyed this quick video without editing. First shot, no graphs, but I hope that it has answered your question. If you have any other question about this deal, about Couche-Tard, leave your comments below. I'm always happy to help. Give me that thumbs up. I need that to grow the channel. And until next video, stay invested.